There are stories of beings coming from distant worlds. NASA, which is known for its big finds, says this new planet is super interesting. It's not just its size and where it is, but it also has lights that look like they were made by someone. Are we finding secrets that will totally change how we see the universe? Could we find life on other planets? Come with us as we look at what NASA's found and see what's really behind the strange lights. Back in 2007, NASA sent the Dawn spacecraft to check out the coolest stuff in our solar system. Dawn had 3 ion engines that let it take an awesome trip. It first spent 14 months looking at Vesta, the second biggest asteroid in the asteroid belt. Dawn sent back photos and info that showed Vesta has a really complex surface with all sorts of stuff on it. After Vesta, Dawn went to the dwarf planet Ceres. Those ion engines were awesome. Dawn could leave Vesta and go to Ceres, which would have been super hard with normal engines. The ion engines gave Dawn a smooth, constant push, so it could go far and get into orbit around Ceres. An Italian astronomer, J.P.I. Piazzi, found Ceres in 1801. It's the biggest thing in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. For a while, they thought it was the smallest dwarf planet, but they changed that in 2006. It's about 950 kilometers around and is not only the biggest thing in the asteroid belt, but it's also one of the most interesting because of the strange things about it. As Dawn got closer to Ceres, scientists were really excited to see the first good photos of this weird world. They saw bright spots all over the surface, especially in one big crater. That made the scientists super excited and curious. Before dawn, the best photo we had of Ceres was blurry from the Hubble Space Telescope. Scientists didn't know much about this dwarf planet, so they were thrilled to get a close look. What secrets would Ceres show? What new stuff was waiting to be found? Dawn was going to give us a better look at how our solar system was made and how water helped make planets. Those bright spots on Ceres weren't like anything on other asteroids. They looked like they were made of stuff that reflects a lot of light, maybe salts left over from water that disappeared. This made people think of cryovolcanism on Ceres, where volcanoes spit out water or salty liquids instead of hot rock. But what are those lights exactly, and what do they tell us about Ceres? Could they be from the planet doing something geological, or is it something even stranger? Ceres is different from other stuff in the asteroid belt because of its size, weight, what it's made of, and how much water and ice it might have. Most asteroids are just rock, but Ceres is more like a comet. That means it might have info about the early solar system that we didn't even think about. After traveling for 2 years, Dawn finally got close to Ceres in 2015. This was a big deal, because Dawn started sending back the first close-up photos of the giant thing in the asteroid belt. As Dawn got closer, the photos got clearer, and we got our first good look at this world that used to be a mystery. The first photos showed a surface covered in craters, which means it's been hit by stuff for a long time. But it wasn't just the craters that were interesting. There were also weird bright spots that stood out against the dark surface. As the photos got better, scientists started guessing what those spots were. Were they just ice reflecting the sun, or were they something else? Some thought they might be mineral deposits or cryovolcanoes. They figured out that the brightest spot wasn't just one thing, but probably a bunch of different areas. This just made the mystery even bigger. The idea that they might be salt from water that left gained support. This would mean that Ceres once had, or still has, something going on inside that moves water or salty liquids to the surface, where it disappears and leaves behind shiny stuff. This changed what people thought about Ceres, showing that it's more active and complicated than they thought. Finding those spots might mean there's water or salty pockets under the surface, which could mean something big for the chance of life in our solar system. What makes Ceres so special compared to other planets? People say Ceres is a cold planet with a hard but fragile surface. Most asteroids in the belt are made of rock and metal, but Ceres is different. Its surface has water, ice, and minerals like clays and carbonates, so it's not as heavy as other asteroids. This probably means Ceres has a lot of water. Its surface is rough but soft, with ice and other stuff trapped inside. It's more like a comet than an asteroid, so it might have been made of both rock and ice. If you go deeper, Ceres has even more cool secrets. Scientists think the planet is made of layers, with a slushy middle and a core. The middle is probably full of water ice, maybe half of what Ceres is made of. This icy layer, possibly with rock and salt water, surrounds a heavy core that might be made of silicates. All that water ice means Ceres might have had liquid water a long time ago, especially if the core was heated by radioactivity when it was first made. This makes Ceres super unique and makes us wonder if it could be doing something geological and if water had an important part in making it. Plus, they found ammonia clays on Ceres, which means it might have been made in a cold, old part of the solar system before moving closer. The ammonia makes water freeze at a lower temperature, which means there might be salt water under the surface. This tells us more about Ceres and also how icy things were made in the solar system. Cryovolcanism is a cool geological thing that's different from the volcanoes we have on Earth. Normal volcanoes spit out hot rock, but cryovolcanoes, also known as ice volcanoes, spit out water, ammonia, or methane in liquid or gas form. These things can be found in cold places like Ceres. Cryovolcanoes work by letting water with salts rise to the surface. When the salty water hits space, it disappears quickly, leaving behind bright salt deposits that reflect light. That's what makes the bright spots on Ceres. The most well-known spot is in a crater called a crater, in a place called Spot 5. It gets a lot of attention because it reflects a lot of light and has strange fogs that the Dawn spacecraft saw. The fogs are probably from water sublimating, so cryovolcanic activity may still be happening now, or happened recently. Ceres has other bright spots, each with its own cool stuff. These spots are all over the planet, meaning cryovolcanism might be common on Ceres. These bright spots show how special Ceres is and make us wonder if there could be life in our solar system. Ceres is always changing and doing stuff, which changes what we thought about it being just a dead world. As Dawn took more photos of Ceres, more stuff on the surface started to show up. Ceres is covered in craters, which tell us about its past. Some craters are flat and worn down, showing that the surface is old and has been hit by stuff for billions of years. Others are in better shape, with sharp edges and deep bowls, which means they were hit more recently. Interestingly, Ceres doesn't have as many craters as it should, which might mean that the planet is resurfacing itself and erasing the old impacts. One idea is that Ceres's icy surface lets cryovolcanoes resurface the planet, with stuff from under the surface rising up and covering the old stuff. This means Ceres isn't a dead world.